So speaking of family things,
It's
moving
a
on
Hawaiian
here,
family show.
yeah, we're going to go on to the next subject that's going to wrinkle CJ's brow because we know he's a Trump lover. And I don't know why, but
I'm not a Trump lover. I love him for America.
No, I don't. I don't know where you come up with that. But anyway,
just like talking about time zones in general.
So in his latest,
we are back to the time
in his latest double talk, because that's what he seems to be really good at. He has talked a mad game about so many things and then stepped back from just about every one of them. And the latest one is a slap in the face to the LGBT community.
LGBTQQ.
Yeah, well, okay. If you want to be, what is the QQ?
Queer and questioning.
Oh, okay.
Which
great.
basically means everybody.
Did you just like make that up?
No, I've been corrected on it a few times.
Oh, I see. Okay. So yeah, when he was campaigning for election, he talked about how he was embracing the gay community and he was going to champion their causes. And then in a tweet earlier this week, he turns around and says, yeah, we're not going to let anybody who's not 100% heterosexual in the military.
I got to find this tweet.
Well, was it even talking about being straight specifically? I think it was specifically about transgender.
Okay, yeah,
people.
he was really directly targeting transgender people, but that's basically talking about the gay community.
Not really, and don't make that mistake because that's how I got corrected. Trans is not necessarily the same as gay. They are a part of a larger community, but they are not the same thing. And there's multiple types of trans.
So now we're going to get into this debate where you're going to tell me that you can be transgendered but not be gay.
Yes. And an example of that would actually be the flagship tranny, Bruce. What's his name now?
Jenner.
Yeah.
Caitlyn, I believe
that
you're
guy.
talking about. Yes.
He's straight, but he's a woman. Oh, I'm sorry. She's... Wait.
Yeah, what? What? I'm confused.
Exactly. And I would say so is Bruce. But whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No,
So,
I don't know what you're trying to
I don't
say,
either.
actually.
And that's what makes it so. That's where the questioning, that last cue comes in.
He's always getting me in trouble.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yes, he does not like men.
Yeah.
Well,
what?
Wait. She. Oh, boy. This hurts.
So many pronouns.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting a headache just thinking about this. But Trump has basically said that he's not going to, and I loved this line, by the way. I don't know, you seem to not be familiar with the tweet at all. But he specifically said, after consulting with his generals.
Yeah.
His generals.
Well, I mean, most presidents do that, though.
No, I don't believe most presidents do that. And they're not his generals.
Well,
it's government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
Last time I heard.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he is one of the most interesting presidents we've ever had.
Interesting is not the word I would use to describe this man.
It is exactly.
And I'm beginning to have a hard time uttering the word president
it was
when connected with his name.
Hey, you got to let that go, man. Seriously. That's one of the things that irritates me about people that don't like Trump is they're like, he's not my president, blah, blah, blah.
You know me very well, and you know that most of the candidates that I have voted for in elections going back probably to Reagan were not the ones, the ones elected were not the ones I voted for. I stand behind every one of those presidents until now. Now I'm starting to wonder
I don't think you get to
how
pick and
we
choose.
got to this guy in office.
Now, that is fair. You can wonder that, but you still have to accept that he is the president. Because when you don't do that, especially with a president like Trump, the moment you put yourself on the opposition, you give him all of the ammunition he needs. He wants people to be against him because that's how he fights, and that's how the Trump maniacs get to come out and just, they feed all that.
Yeah, but when do we get to legitimately start questioning his competency?
You can do that every day. You can do that every day, all day. But you can't do it and say he's not my president, because if he's not your president, then you really have no reason to question.
I didn't say he wasn't my president. I'm just questioning how he got to be president.
I don't question that at all, which is why I've always said he is the best possible president America could have had.
I'm questioning how presidential he actually is.
I question the phrase presidential, because every presidential president we've had sucked. Every one of them does the same thing. They get up there and they sell you some pot of chicken in every living room. Who would you define as a
presidential president?
Take your pick.
No, I want you to name one.
Reagan.
Reagan was a great president. What are you talking about?
Reagan was not a great president.
Yes, he was.
No, he was not. He was great for some, terrible for many. Under Reagan's administration is when the drug epidemic exploded. It started earlier than that, but it exploded under Reagan. Under Clinton, whom most of the Democrats love, you saw more people getting incarcerated and more of these handouts tearing down families.
I want to go back to the drug problem that you said exploded. Now, why do you attribute that to Reagan directly?
Iran-Contra, all of that stuff was going down, the whole Panama situation.
What does that got to do with drugs?
Drugs have always been the funds that financed covert ops for the CIA. That has always been the case, which is why the drug war has been fake. And you don't have to go too far because they actually released the documents that say, yes, the CIA was feeding drugs into low-income communities. It's how they disassembled the Black Panther Party, how they disassembled all of those movements. They completely decimated them by infiltrating the communities with drugs and taking out all of the leaders. It's the oldest trick in the book. I mean, they used to do that. China would do that to take down regimes. You pump them full of opium, and then you go and mate with all of the people, and you eliminate the population.
Yeah.
Oldest trick in the book.
Now we do it with fast food.
Oldest trick in the book.
Okay,
so wait, what can we say when you hear the president tweeting about things, anti-LGBTQQ,
what you can say,
and then you have people like this guy in Phoenix who then goes and sets fire to a youth LGBT youth center.
That I can't blame one person's stupid speech for another person's stupid actions, because once you start to do that, then you actually have a reason to shut down free speech. If you're going to say we got to be careful about everything we say because somebody might take me seriously, that's part of the reason why a lot of comedians now are finding it very hard to do comedy. They don't do college tours anymore because they're always getting booed because they can't be politically incorrect anymore.
Colleges are generally the worst now.
Exactly.
Just because of
it used to be a haven.
Spaces.
Could you imagine George Carlin trying to do some of his material today on a college campus?
No.
Could you imagine Richard Pryor doing his material today?
Could you
on
imagine
a college
any
campus?
kind of free speech on a college campus
No,
today?
I can't, unless you're saying what they want and what they want you to say. So
Yeah.
that's my whole point.
Okay.
You can't blame crazy people for doing something that because somebody else said so. That's going to be the case no matter what across the board. It's the same thing they say every time you talk
But
about.
I'm not blaming. Well, I am blaming a crazy person.
Just to
but
make my
the
point.
crazy person is Trump.
Just to make my point, they say the same thing every time you talk about, every time you bring up Christians, they always say abortion explosions, blowing up clinics. That happened in like the 80s. When is the last time you heard of somebody blowing up an abortion clinic?
They protest them rather regularly.
Yeah,
they really don't even do
That's
that.
true.
They'll stand out front with a sign, like one person. That's not a protest. That's somebody with a lot of spare time.
That's still a protest.
In fact, I would go so far as to say that's ministry, because they're not protesting. They're usually saying it's not a good thing, especially if you're talking Christian, and it's not. Let's be real. Nobody wants their family to go out and get an abortion. You're not going to say, hey, sis, I think you should go get an abortion today. Nobody thinks abortions are a good thing. Okay? Let's be real about that. Come on.
Calling them a necessary evil?
No, I don't think they're necessary, but that's me. And the crazy thing about me is
he getting religious on us now?
No, I'm a walking dichotomy because I am pro-choice.
I agree with that.
I am pro-choice. But I think people need to understand the ramifications of the choices that they make. And they have to stop deluding themselves and thinking that there are no consequences to your choices.
I think the thing is CJ is pro-choice as long as you make the choice he would make.
No. I fully expect most people not to choose what I do. I fully expect that.
I hope not.
Yeah.
The world would be a better place if everybody did what I said.
Now this